your side whipped against this CHIPS bill. There's a concern that you say they have no plan here. This was a bipartisan package.
It was not a bipartisan package.
You had 24 members on your side. Your side.
That's your definition of bipartisan? You know the real challenge here? Republicans had a plan for CHIPS. We actually produced one in the China Task Force. You had a bipartisan plan that started in the Senate. Then you had a Speaker of the House go against her own committees where you had bipartisan work inside the House from the Science Committee and others, and delayed this entire bill for a year. And then in the process of coming back, you had to shrink it. But what did the Senate do on their side? They made it mandatory spending. They took a problem where we had a solution and they wrapped it into making it even worse and compounding it. When we have a recession, when we have a fiscal problem, they put it into mandatory spending when we should have focused simply on CHIPS. In 2017, when Republicans were in the majority, we put it in the NDAA that it is an important problem that we need to solve. The Democrats took the majority, they ignored it. Every chance that we worked bipartisan on this, even when we asked the Speaker to put a China committee together, even when it took me 8 months to get her to agree, even when the Washington Post came in and sat down because they were rolling it out, Republicans and Democrats alike, and the night before they stopped it, we went forward and we produced a plan to make sure chips were back and being built in America. Every element of this, Nancy Pelosi has put up roadblocks and challenged it and made it political and controversial.
But that still wasn't a vote against jobs yesterday?
No, it wasn't against jobs yesterday. I just walked you through it from a mandatory point of view.
I understand that you don't like how the mechanics of how it came out, but...
Well, you think it's just mechanics or you think it's long-term? Well, what is our biggest fiscal challenge?
With jobs later on?
No. Is it going to take away from jobs? Does $30 trillion in debt harm jobs? Yes. Does a recession harm jobs? Yes. Could you have done it in a bipartisan manner? Yes. Did we try to do it? Yes. Every element that we worked for on this was bipartisan. Every element that went forward, Pelosi put up roadblocks and even didn't take it through committee, put all in her Build Back Better climate change through and harmed the process to even make it happen.
Well, here's the Tax Foundation. They say the proposed 15% minimum tax on corporate book income is the most economically damaging provision in the bill, reducing GDP by 0.1%, costing about 27,000 jobs. Here's Americans for Tax Reform on the energy portion. The legislation would impose a regressive tax on oil and gas development based upon emission levels of methane during production, leading to higher energy bills for consumers and higher costs of everyday products. Are they wrong?
We've worked with all those industries all the way through this piece of legislation on my side. All of my staff did. And when they're talking about the things they're talking about, that's not true at all.
It's very concerning. You know, we keep getting inflation readings, new data that comes in and as recently as this past week, and we keep getting surprised. It's higher than we expect, and it's not just a few categories. It's spreading out more broadly across the economy, and that's why the Federal Reserve is acting with such urgency to get it under control and bring it back down.
In 2010, you said this: I don't think during a time of recession you mess with any of the taxes or increase any taxes. This bill does that. But here you are earlier this month.
You can't be raising taxes. You can't make anything inflationary. You can close some loopholes. You can find out where there's some things that should be done that should have been done before, but it won't be inflationary at all.
Technically, we're in a recession. And technically, according to multiple different organizations, this bill does raise taxes.
They're wrong. It does not raise taxes.
Democrats are trying to bring two bills to the floor today to address public safety, the Invest to Protect Act and the COPS Act. Can you elaborate where you stand on those bills? They're bipartisan sponsors here in the House.
You know what? I haven't seen what their final version is. They haven't seen what their final version is. They're still communicating and trying to work a deal out. I would think it would be terrible that you'd bring a bill up that didn't go through committee. I think it'd be terrible that you'd bring a bill up that people didn't have an opportunity to see, discuss, debate, or amend. That's just the democratic process. And I think that's wrong with the Democrats in majority of what they're doing here.